yeah, experience levels on the class today. Lots of different stages of life. New babies, old babies, no babies. Great, I love it. All right, welcome to Breath and Flow, now called Connected Core. Start on your back, find a comfortable seat, spot. If you are very pregnant, you may wanna do this seated, but if you can comfortably lay down on your back, knees bent up, go ahead and pull your knees in towards your chest and give yourself a nice big good morning hug. Rock side to side, front and back. Massage out your lower back. Start to intentionally breathe in and out through your nose. We're gonna put on our imaginary piece of duct tape, scotch tape. Duct tape's a little aggressive. Scotch tape over your mouth. Just so you have a little bit more of a mental stimulus, right? So we're breathing in and out through your nose only if you can. Spring allergies have started here in Georgia. Audrey's not gonna miss that yellow snow. No. All right. Let your left leg go straight, long out in front of you. So pull that right knee in a little bit deeper, maybe a little bit farther out towards your shoulder. Big deep breath in through your nose, out through your nose. Take that right knee, cross it over your body and put a nice gentle twist into your low back. So we've got left leg straight, right knee is bent and hugging in. It's twisting a little bit just until the point that you start to feel a little bit of a twist. We're going to just wring out our midsection. You want to keep both shoulders on the ground. So only go as far as you can until you feel like that right shoulder blade is popping off the ground. And then slowly reverse that and switch sides. So hug your left knee in towards your shoulder. Give yourself a nice big hug in and out through your nose. We have an imaginary piece of scotch tape over our lips to help facilitate that nasal diaphragmatic breath in through the nose, all the way down to the bottom of the pelvis and into the low back. Go ahead and take that leg if you haven't already and reach it across or stretch it across your body only as far as you can until you feel like your shoulder may pop off the ground. So we want shoulders glued to the ground. Very good. Come back into the middle and we're going to do that 2 more times at your own pace. So starting with a big hug, both knees in, big giant belly breath in, nasal breathing in and out through the nose. Air goes down to the bottom of the pelvis and into the low back. One knee at a time, stretch out one leg long in front of you, grab that right knee, pull it in towards the chest and out to the shoulder, and then cross that knee over you, tip over to the side, trying to keep the knee pulled in towards your chest. Feel a nice twist or wring out. The knee goes across the body to the opposite side. Shoulders stay on the ground. Wring it out and then switch sides when you're ready. One more on you. Give me one more on each. Come back into the middle, hug the knees, roll the low back out a little bit, front to back, side to side. Wonderful. All right, and we're gonna jump right into generating a little bit of heat in our core. So come into dead bug legs. So if we are flat on the ground, we've got our legs up, 90-ish degree angles. Knees are wider than hips. Feet are higher than our knees. Beautiful. Everybody's is going to look a little different because of your anatomy. Okay. So we're going to do some twists here. I have not done this with you guys ever in a connected core class. You're going to take, your hands are going to rest on your sternum, on your belly, on the ground. So hands are going to be down. Ideally, palms planted down on the ground beside you to give you a little bit of support. Okay. The farther out you go with your hands into more of a T position, the more support you will have. So easier, arms out like a T. Great. Harder, down by your side. Perfect, Anna. All right, and we're just gonna play around with this. So your shoulders, glue them to the ground. Your torso is going to twist and is going to wring out. So we are not a rotisserie chicken right now, if you've taken my other classes. Your whole pelvis and your legs are going to stay exactly where they are, but they're going to tip over to the side and then slowly come back to the middle. Your shoulders are not going to leave the ground. Does that make sense? Okay. Slow and controlled twist to one side, maybe only going a few inches, back to the middle, using your obliques and your core to bring you back up, and then a nice slow gentle twist to the other side. You may not be symmetrical. If you're totally lost, I've got Kim behind me doing this really great. Mariah, great. Mariah's got her hands in a T. Palms down on the ground so you're pushing, give yourself a kick, some kickstand support with the hands pressing into the ground. Beautiful. Yep, a big giant belly breath in, fill up, embrace the core, and then let those hips and legs, they're staying in the same shape, but they're tipping over to one side. So you should start to kind of feel some muscle activation in the core as you go tipped from one side to the other. Shoulder blades stay on the ground. Beautiful. Give me 2 or 3 more in each direction. You'll notice that the more you support yourself into the ground by pushing in with your palms, and the more you take a big belly breath in and brace your core, the farther your legs will go. But it's not necessarily about how far we can get the legs over. It's really more so about the control and keeping the shoulder blades on the ground. Wonderful. All right. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a big hug. Rock side to side. We're gonna, when you're done, no rush, we're gonna meet over in an all fours position. So make your way onto hands and knees. Knees underneath hips, hands underneath shoulders. I want you to think about your toes are untucked. So the top part of your foot is pressing down into the ground. I want you to actively think about pressing that top part of the foot and any part of your shin that's in contact with the ground. Press that into the ground. So just like we're pressing down with all 10 fingers and our palms, keeping elbows nice and soft. So we're turning on and squeezing biceps and triceps, shoulders down away from the ears. In the legs, I want you to think about a press into the earth with the top of the foot, at least the top of the foot and the shins. We got that? Yeah, awesome. Okay, so from here, I want you to maintain that press into the ground, and that pressure pushing down is gonna let us just kind of float the spine, and we're gonna take our spine through some flexion and extension, some cat-cows. Move at your own pace. Give me 6 of these. As you let gravity sink your spine down, I want you to think about your tailbone and your chin floating up towards the ceiling. And then when you curve down and arch your back, that middle arch is happening between the shoulder blades. You may notice that you get a little bit more of an arc between the shoulders the more you push into the ground with the feet, the tops of the feet. And we're moving When we arch and when we arc, we are moving from tip of the tailbone to bottom of the chin. Good. Nice, slow 6, easy move. Just warm things up in flexion and extension. We put a little bit of our oblique motion in already, our twisting side to side. Now we're working that flexion extension. Awesome. Stay in all fours. Balls are flying at your head. Lots of kiddos on this class today. This will be interesting. All right, so stay in all fours. One hand is going to go, I want you to think about keeping that pressure pushing down with the tops of the feet while we do some more thoracic, a different type of thoracic twist. Yep. So your hand is going to go on the back of your head, fingertips or palm on the back or kind of crown of the head. And we're going to start here by trying to glue that shoulder blade in. Okay. You're going to open up. So let's start with our right hand. Right hand is on the back of the head. We find that squeeze in the shoulder blade, and then you're going to twist to the right. Your elbow is going to try to go up as far to the ceiling as it can. And I want you to initiate that movement with a squeeze of the shoulder blades. That looks great. So if you notice behind me, Kim can squeeze and open up and her elbow is pointing up. Mariah's is a little bit more at an angle. Totally fine. Okay. Take that elbow now and cross it over your body, and your target is the opposite elbow, forearm, or wrist. Somewhere in that, along that opposite arm, kiss your elbow to your opposite arm and then extend back up and squeeze the shoulder blades. Beautiful. Give me 10 of these on this side. Nice and easy. If you're not quite there reaching the elbow, forearm, or wrist, no worries, you will get there. First couple reps are tricky. We're trying not to bend the support arm, elbow, left side. It's going to have a softness to it. It's going to have a nice soft bend to it, but we're trying to keep it as straight as possible. Opening and closing. If you are flying through those, 10 on one side, maybe 10 on the other. Again, one side may feel totally different than the other. Normal to have some asymmetry here. We all have one side that we are dominant on, right versus left. Everybody looks good. You may feel a little bit of an ab contraction, an oblique engagement as you come across. This may be more of a stretch for you. It may feel more like a warm up for your abs. All good and normal sensations here. Okay. Beautiful. How are we doing so far, everybody? Great. Good. All right, we're gonna warm up the hips next. So when everybody is ready, you're still gonna meet me in an all fours position. That may have started to generate some heat, and that's normal. Okay, so let's reapply that piece of Scotch tape over our lips. Connect back to our nasal breathing in and out through the nose. If you feel like you can't take a deep enough breath through your nose, think about sending the air down and low. There's lots of space down there for the lungs to expand down. We feel like our breath has become shallow and we can't take a big enough breath. The solution is not to open the mouth and breathe through your mouth. It's to send that air deep into your abdomen. Okay, so from here, we're going to do some functional hip circles, functional range hip circles. So it's going to start like this. We're going to start with our right leg. And you are going to lift your leg out to the side. You're going to keep it bent. So hang on, Kim, just follow me so people can see because the red is popping out beautifully. Okay. So her knee is going to stay bent and she's going to open up her leg out to the side. Think dog peeing on a fire hydrant. Best way to put it. Okay. From there, that leg is going to go back out behind you. Knee is going to stay bent. Knee is going to stay bent. So where your foot is pressing up against this imaginary ceiling. Okay. Yep. From here, you're going to take your shin and try to windshield wiper your shin or your foot and go in and out. This is not as hard as it looks. In and out, and then bring the knee back down. And then we reverse it. So kick that leg up behind you. Think like a donkey king. Kick, words. Windshield wiper the shin. So knee and hip stay where they are and try to go in and out with the foot and the shin. And then bring it into that dog peeing on a fire hydrant position. And then bring it back in and down. Okay. Following? All right, let's do the right leg again. So knee stays bent. From the hip, we move it out to the side. Great. From here, so you should feel this squeeze in the side of the butt. From here, we sweep it back and out around behind you so that your foot is pressing up on the ceiling. Like a waiter, like if you were holding onto something with your foot, like a tray. And then holding it up, windshield wiper the shin back and forth. Wave with your foot. Wave hello with your foot. Knee stays where it is. So the motion is moving from knee to foot. Great. And then knee comes back down to the ground. And then we reverse what we just did. So foot comes back up behind you. Think donkey kick. Squeeze the butt. Yep. Beautiful, Sarah. Shin windshield wipers at least once in each direction. Hip comes out to the side. Think dog peeing on tree. And then back down to the ground. Beautiful, everybody. Great. So that was one on the right. Let's do one on the left. Okay. Hip comes out to the side, pee on your tree. Yep. Knee comes just straight lateral out. And then it kicks back behind you. Then we're going to windshield wiper that foot, shin, side to side. Trying to just do this. Yeah, you might notice like, oh, I can go to the left, but I can't go to the right. And then leg comes back in, knee down to the ground. And then we reverse it. Donkey kick back up behind you. Yep. We're still on that left leg. And then windshield wiper back and forth. And then sweep it out to the side into that I'm peeing on a fence position. And then knee comes back down to the ground. I'm getting some angry looks. This is just the warm up. Just kidding. Good. Yeah, this is tough. It's tough to move your hips in new positions and breathe and stabilize and think about all the things. I really just want you thinking about the movement of your hips. So if our hips aren't moving the way they should be, our low back is going to pick up the slack. So oftentimes, I'd say 90% of the time, if we got something hinky, kinky, painful going on in our low back, our hips are part of the problem. Okay. Did everybody have one side that was harder than the other? Mm-hmm. Or when you got it up to do the windshield wipers, it would go, you're like, oh, I can go this way. I can't go that way. We're going to work on that. We're going to come back to these. So everybody, we all did at least one on each side, correct? Okay, great. We're going to come back to these. Meet me in a seated position. Sit crisscross applesauce. we're going to come back to our functional range motion, fire hydrants. I don't really have a name for those yet, of the hips. All right, so from a cross shin position, if you have your ankle tucked underneath your shin, that foot that's in front, untuck the shin, untuck the ankle. Yep, and just bring it right in front of the foot on the floor. Great. Good. Perfect. So from here, we're going to slow things down. Scotch tape over your mouth. Let your spine sink against gravity. Start by tucking the chin and hunch. Slowly start to hunch your back and roll forward. Hands can come down to the ground in front of you. And you're starting to sink and starting to melt. We're going to go 10 breaths here. With every exhale, I want you sinking and surrendering a little bit deeper into that hip. So if you have your right shin in front, you should be feeling this very deeply in the right hip, butt, glute in the back. 10 breaths at your own pace. With every exhale, I want you thinking about sinking down into the ground and letting that hip release. You may not physically move deeper to the ground or closer to the ground, but that sensation of release should still be there. Like you could sink a little bit lower to the ground. How are we doing? Good. Ten nasal breaths. If you make it down to rest on your arms, forearms, head on the ground, great. If that is starting to feel more comfortable. If you need the ground to support you, use it. Spine should be released and relaxed. When you are done with your 10-ish breaths or you feel ready to come on up, slowly unroll and switch the shins. So if you had your right shin in front, you're going to put your left shin in front. And we're going to do the same thing. Totally fine to grab a ball or a pillow or a child and use them as support as you curl forward. Have something that you can, kind of rest on as you fold into this hip. 10 deep nasal diaphragm breaths. As you start to sink and fold and release and relax. Every exhale brings you a little bit closer to the ground or just a little bit more of a surrender in that hip. You may feel this in your hamstring. You may feel it in your butt. You are going to feel it wherever there is tension, tightness, resistance. It's not so much about finding that resistance and getting rid of it, more so just recognizing it and seeing if we can breathe into it to breathe through it. I love that foreheads are resting and relaxed. And when you are done with your 10 breaths here, slowly start to come back, use your hands for support. Come back to a seat. So let's see, we may have different legs in front. So let's come back to our right leg, our right shin out in front. Your left shin is going to swing back around behind you into a Z sit, a pinwheel, a shin box. If this is not accessible for you, we can butterfly the legs. Yeah, so we've got a double 90-degree angle happening here, ish, very much an ish, okay? One leg is out in front and it's bent. One leg is out to the side or back behind us. Ideally, we want to have both butt cheeks touching the ground. If your left hip is way high off of the ground, bring your knee, your left knee, closer to your right foot. So tighten up and reduce those 90-degree angles. Does that make sense? We want to be able to find a position here where we can sit nice and tall and feel like we've got hips squared, spine straight. If you need to wedge a pillow or a blanket or a rolled up mat underneath your back butt cheek, that's totally fine too, okay? So from here, one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, 5 big, deep diaphragm breaths. If you know you don't have any air filling up top and you want to put both hands on your belly and your low back, that's fine too. So now with our hip in a little bit more of a challenging position or an awkward position, can you still make that nasal breath go into the belly and the low back? This is hard. Yeah, 5 of these here. Can we still feel that breath go low? And then slowly switch the legs. So however you need to get there, get there. Switch out the right, put the right back behind you. Left is now out in front of you. One side might feel totally different. So this hip that's now going out to the side may need a little bit more support. It may be fine. You may need a pillow under the knee, under the hip. Good. 5 big deep belly breaths. Can you still breathe into your hips and your low belly? On the exhales, can you maybe get that right butt cheek a little bit lower to the ground? See if that's possible. Good. And when you are done with that, we're going to add a little bit of movement to this. So first step, if you've never done a shin box flow before, you are going to kickstand your hands behind you for a little bit of support. And we can windshield wiper or just shift the knees back and forth from one 90-90 position to the other, taking a pause on each side. Beautiful. And even if you have done these before and you can go through this whole progression and you just need a little bit more of a warm up, totally fine to kickstand the hands. After we do a couple to each direction, if those feel good with the support behind you, give it a try doing it without your hands on the ground. So I like what Anna's doing. She's just got her hands in like a prayer pose, a little bit of pressure there. Arms, I like arms up in like a dead bug position. So we've got our arms kind of like in a ballerina position. We're generating some core pressure activation in our upper body too. This is going to help the lower. So we've got that big giant belly breath in. We're squeezing, holding on to this imaginary 30-pound ball. And we're using that pressure in our core to generate this motion side to side where we're flipping the hips. Yeah, it really looks good. A couple of those to warm up. And then come back to the front of the mat. Pick a shin box position to start in. I don't care if it's right leg in front or left leg in front. And we're going to do a couple lifts. So big giant belly breath in. A slight lean forward from the hips. So spine stays tall and neutral. We're not flexing or extending from the spine. We're not cat-cowing here. A little bit of a bend forward, or a tilt forward, so that your knee that's in front feels a little bit more pressure into the ground. And from here, you're going to, without your hands assisting you, try to lift up and forward and open up the hips in the front. If you need to grab something to support you on your way up or use your hands, that is okay. On the way up, I want you to feel your booty butt, your glutes squeeze together, and then slow and control lower down to the ground. Give me about 6 on this side. Trying to stay tall, keep the spine long, and looks good. When you're done with your 6-ish, switch the legs. Breathe in and out through your nose. Deep belly breaths. One side may feel totally different than the other. So if it's harder, the way that you will get better at it is by going slower. Looks good, Margot. Good, Andy. Maybe about 6-ish on this side. And when you are done, come into a resting position of your choice, child's pose, or on your back, hug your knees in. If we're feeling like we've generated some heat or some sensation like you want to breathe in and out through your mouth, catch your breath, put that Scotch tape back on and try to slow things down, quiet things back down. Quiet your breath, quiet your brain. Notice any sensations left in your body, any points of resistance in your hips. Good. When you're ready, you're going to meet me back into an all fours. And we're going to do our functional hip circles again. At least one on each side. And the goal here is just to notice if they feel any different. They may not. That's not the goal. The goal is not to feel a difference. The goal is to notice if there is a difference. Does that make sense? Just paying attention and saying, that feels different. Okay. Than when we first did these. So from an all fours, you're going to keep that knee bent at 90 degrees, but kick it out directly straight out to the side. Think peeing on a tree. Yeah. And then that knee sweeps back behind you. It stays bent. Now that flat foot is pointing up towards the ceiling. And then windshield wiper, shin and foot go in to the right and then out to the left. And then bring that knee back underneath the hip. And then reverse it. Same side, knee kicks out, back behind you, foot flat up towards the ceiling, windshield wiper to the right, windshield wiper to the left, Then kick the knee out into that peeing on a fire hydrant position, and then sweep the leg back in. That looks great. You guys all got the hang of that time. Beautiful. Switch to the other leg. Knee sweeps out to the side. Then it kicks back out behind you. Foot flat up to the ceiling. Windshield wiper that forearm. And then knee swoops down on back underneath the hip. And then we reverse it. Kick out behind you and back and up. Windshield wiper to the right, to the left. Kim's doesn't go that way. And then knee back underneath, or sorry, back out to the fire hydrant. And then knee back out behind you. Good. All right. Drop back into that child's pose position. Toes together, knees nice and wide. Stretch your arms out long in front of you, head relaxed. Or if you liked the cross shin fold to get a little bit deeper into the hips in a little different way, feel free to end there today. We're going to end with a little controlled inhales and exhales. Okay. So from whatever position you want, wherever you feel like your hips need it, and Margot switch into that cross shin. Yeah, if you got, and especially if you got one hip that's tighter than the other, maybe now's a chance to give that little extra hip a little extra love. Oh, I love what Anna's doing. Yeah, that's a great, another great way to get it deep into the hips. Okay, so our controlled inhales and our controlled exhales, we're gonna do 3 breaths where you're breathing in for a 3 count. I'm not gonna count you, but I want you breathing in for 3 and exhaling for 3. 3 of those. And I can't hear you, but I want you to hear yourself breathe on that exhale. If the exhale needs to be very loud and audible for you to feel like you're releasing something, go for it. Could be through your mouth, even if necessary. But I want to hear your exhale, even if you're breathing out through your nose, right? So think like yoga style Ujjayi breath or Darth Vader breath. You're fogging up a mirror in front of you. Those exhales are super important. On those exhales, I want you to feel like you're melting into the ground. 3 count breaths. 3 counts to inhale. 3 counts to exhale. And after you're done with your 3 count, we're going to do 2 with a 5 count. 2 big inhales, 5 seconds to complete that inhale. And then 5 seconds to fully exhale everything out. 2 of those. And when you are done with those 2 5-count inhales and exhales, return your breathing to normal. You can take that little piece of Scotch tape off. Give your body whatever it needs. Stay on your mat. Roll into a seat or a lay and go back to bed, or maybe it's time for coffee and kiddos. Wonderful. You guys did great. I threw some new stuff in there today for hips and low back, and I think everybody liked it. Now that it's over, wonderful. All right, wherever you are, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. You are welcome. This link will be good for about the next 3 months. Okay, same link. We'll send it back out periodically in case you lose it, but same time, same place next weekend. Great to see everybody today, and we will see you later.
Thank you.
You're welcome.